Finally, the payday lenders hit the headlines earlier this year with the collapse of Wonga, perhaps the best known in the UK. As the FT reported at the time, a major factor in its demise was the soaring number of consumer complaints about high-interest loans it had granted and the size of the compensation bill it then had to pay. Later this month, a new website called Debt Hacker is set to launch with the aim of encouraging more payday customers to apply for compensation. And the man behind it, financial campaigner Alan Campbell, says he would be quite happy if it ended up putting more high-cost lenders out of business. He joins me now in the studio. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you.
So customers of payday lenders can use this Debt Hacker tool that you've been creating to get compensation. But why might they be entitled to money in the first place?
They were entitled to recompense where they've been advanced unaffordable lending. There seems to be a conspiracy of silence at the moment about people's rights. People have the right to not be burdened with unaffordable lending, and the obligation is on the lender to make sure that they do the necessary checks in terms of checking income, checking bank statements, checking other commitments that people have got so they're not burdened with unaffordable lending. And where they are burdened with unaffordable lending, they can make a claim first to the lender and then secondary to the Financial Ombudsman Service, who will adjudicate that claim.
And in terms of the money that they'll get back, they may not necessarily receive the money that they've been advanced in the payday loan, but they could receive compensation in the form of the interest that they've had to pay on a loan if they can prove that they can't afford it, and any fees that may have been charged, which could actually be more than the loan itself, depending on how long ago they took it out.
That's absolutely correct. They're entitled by law to get back all of their interest and all their charges, and that's on historic debt. And so this is effectively financial asbestosis on the balance sheet of all those lenders, because this can go back for years and years and years. And for current debts, they're entitled to avoid the loan if it is a current debt, but they'll only then have to repay the principal when it becomes affordable to do so. And that may be sometime in the future.
So briefly, how would Debt Hacker enable people to access this compensation?
Well, it's not compensation, it's to access a complaint on a lender, so we should make that distinction. Debt Hacker is a simple, easy-to-use online tool whereby the person comes along, puts in their email address, puts in their details, and then we organise and diarise the complaint on their behalf to the lender, and then come back to them with dates and times in which the lender should comply with that complaint. And then if the complaint is not settled to the borrower's satisfaction, we then organise on behalf of the lender a complaint to the Financial Ombudsman Service.
And you're providing this service completely for free?
It's a completely free 100%. All of the money goes back to the borrower.
And so I have to ask, why are you doing it? Because you funded this service personally through your own money.
I'm funding it through my own money. I mean, I have made money in the past, and now I want to make a difference. I see a complete conspiracy of silence where 8.3 million people who are burdened with over-indebtedness are not aware that they can simply unburden themselves by putting down the struggle that many of them go through on a month-by-month basis to repay debt which they should never have been advanced.
And I have to say, we've reported before that the complaints about payday lenders are soaring as awareness of the potential compensation grows. Under the current Ombudsman rules, after the first 25 complaints, payday lenders are charged an administration fee of £550 to process every complaint, even if it's found that they did nothing wrong. Do you think that's really fair?
I think what's unfair is that people, first of all, at the moment, don't understand what their rights are. And those are Parliament-given rights. Now, in terms of the cost of exercising that right, that's a matter for Parliament to decide. Because once you give people the right and they exercise the right, the cost of that is not their concern. They've either got the right or they haven't got the right. And therefore, that's a matter for Parliament, Financial Ombudsman to decide what is the cost that's burdened on the lender. And the first thing I should actually point out, we're only starting with payday lenders. Remember that there's 200 billion of consumer finance out there, and we know that there's 8.3 million people are over-indebted. We will get to other lenders in due course, because this systemic industry failure of the lenders not taking their responsibility seriously, being ignored by, being unpoliced by the FCA, something has to be done about that, and that's what we intend to do.
So Wonga has gone out of business, but surely if more payday lenders or other high-cost lenders exit the UK market for whatever reason, this will remove an important, albeit expensive means of people to get credit. So where will those people turn instead?
I think the first thing that you make, you comment there, that is correct, that high cost credit is a form of credit which people access, and the problem is that if they only access it once, it's not unaffordable. But if they're in a cycle of debt where they're increasing the level of debt through high cost lending, then that becomes unaffordable. All we're doing is we want to make the environment for unaffordable lenders to be more difficult as the borrowers understand their rights. That's what we're seeking to do. Enfranchise the borrowers with knowledge so that if they do get into an unaffordable lending pattern, they'll recognise it and then they'll make a complaint.
Do you also think that it could prompt more consumers to seek advice for their problem debts at an earlier stage in the process?
Yeah, well, I think our campaign isn't for people who are drowning in debt, because there's the debt agencies there that are capable of giving them support. Our campaign is to awaken the people who are struggling, and the industry actually refers to them as willing strugglers. So the industry knows that if you over-indebt someone and that person, it takes the responsibility of repaying that debt very seriously. They'll struggle month in, month out to repay that, even if that means kids going without meals, families losing houses, or mental or physical illness. So the industry is preying on that.
Well, thank you very much there to Alan Campbell, founder of the Pressure Group Final Notice, which is launching the Debt Hacker tool, which is expected to go online later this month. That's it from The Money Show this week. If you want to get in touch with our team of experts, you can email us, money@ft.com, or talk to us on Twitter. Our handle is @FTMoney. In the meantime, we'll be back next week at the usual time. Goodbye.